Hello everyone, this is Florian and today's video is about the built-in zip function. The zip function is a built-in function, so there's no need to import it before you can use it. In essence, zip creates an iterator that aggregates elements from each of the iterables supplied to it. Let's see how this looks like. First, we need at least two iterables. In our example, we have a list of names. So let's go with names, and we go with Florian and Mariah and Tom. That's sufficient for now. And our second iterable will be a list of student IDs. Now let's go with 10, 11, and 12 here. And it's important to note that the first name, so in this case Florian, matches the first student ID, so 10. Yeah, so Mariah has the student ID 11 and Tom has the student ID 12. At this point, I would like to aggregate both lists, so I end up with a list of pairs, where each pair consists of the name and the corresponding student ID. This is where the zip function comes into play. So we can pass both iterables to it and get a zip object. So zip names, comma, student IDs gives us a zip object, and the zip object is an iterator yielding tuples, where the eth tuple contains the eth element from each of the iterables we supplied. So simply put, the first tuple that is returned by the zip iterator contains the first element from the first iterable and the first element from the second iterable, and the second tuple that is returned contains the second elements of both iterables, and so on and so forth. So in order to actually see what's returned, we need to consume this iterator first, and we can do so by supplying it to the built-in list function, which consumes it and turns it into a list. So list of zip of names, comma, student IDs gives us a list, and yeah, essentially the first element is the student's name and the second one is its ID, and we already achieved quite a lot. Another thing that is important to note at this point is that the iterator stops when the shortest input iterable is exhausted. So let's extend our names list and append a new name, and let's go with Alex at this point. So names consists now of 4 names, and the student IDs are still just 3 elements, which would mean that Alex still has no student ID. And if we do this again, so list of zip of names of student IDs, we see that Alex is missing, because the zip function stops when the shortest iterable is exhausted. And in this case, the shortest iterable is the student IDs list, because it consists of only 3 elements. If you would like to not end with the shortest but with the longest iterable is exhausted, you need to use zip longest from the built-in itertools module. So this means we need to import first, so import itertools, and now we can use its zip longest function the very same way that we use the zip function, right? So let's store the zip object in a local variable called obj. So itertools dot zip longest, and supply names and student IDs again. So obj is now a itertools zip longest object, and if we consume this object, we see that Alex is indeed in the result set, but because no value was known for the student ID, because it was already exhausted, none was used as a placeholder. All right, that's all for today. Stay curious and keep coding.